Hey everyone, here we are, full season 2026, and I'm here with my son Jay.
Hello.
He's riding the Epic 9 Pro that I had the chance to look at not too long ago, and I am on his bike actually, the Epic 8 that I built this year. They're both about the same weight. This is 23.7 pounds, and that Epic 9 is probably a bit over 24 pounds in this current configuration with pedals installed. And today I thought I would give you guys an idea of how the new Epic 9 lines up versus the good old Epic 8. But even the Epic 7, because my son Jay here is a bit of an expert, right?
Yeah. My last two bikes were the Epic 7 and now this Epic 8. And this is my first time on the Epic 9 with the flight attendant up on the trails. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
Any first impressions as you hop onto the Epic 9 after riding your Epic 8?
I would say it definitely feels a bit more racy than my bike. But yeah, we'll see how it holds up on the trails as well.
Geometry, anything like that?
I can definitely feel the steeper seat tube right off the bat, but without riding on the trails it's hard to tell anything else yet. So
yeah, that's because that bike comes standard with a 60 mil stem. His bike, the Epic 8, is built with a 50 mil stem, and the Epic 8 is built more like a light trail bike with a 130 millimeter fork. As you guys remember, the Epic 9 only comes into 120 config, and yes, the one that we have here is the one equipped with flight attendant. We'll probably give you a few more details about that throughout the video. But why don't we go out and just do some riding, and then I guess we'll come back with some sort of conclusions, and yay or nay, Epic 9 for the win. So let's do this.
And we started with a climb trail called Fire, which starts with some pretty smooth terrain and just some gentle corners, but eventually it gets a lot steeper and the switchbacks get tighter and the rocks and roots start becoming much more evident. And eventually, right around the corner from this huge boulder, you come to this small rock garden, which is definitely the hardest part of the trail. It's hard because you have to be very careful about where you put the power down and what line you take up the rocks, but it definitely takes some control of the bike. From there, going up the rest of the hill, you can make the trail as technical or as fun as you want, taking these optional rocks and roots all the way up.
All right, so any first impressions on a climb? I would argue this is climbs that you would find on any decent trail out there. What do you think?
well, it was pretty good overall.
Oopsies.
The geometry and the way it's set up puts you in a good position for the steeper parts and getting over the technical areas. And I think the flight attendant helps as well, because obviously you have the softer suspension and more traction when you need it, but it doesn't bog you down on the parts where you need to put down power. So overall it was a good climb on this bike.
By the way, you guys could hear the suspension adjusting. That's what those are the sounds from flight attendant. It would make noises as if the servo motors inside change the damper settings. This is all on auto, and it does an auto calibration, so everything else is pretty much automatic, hands-free. So what do you think we try something even more technical than this, like I don't know, Ugly Up?
That sounds good.
If the previous trail, Fire, had a couple of more technical sections, on Ugly Up there's no getting around the roots and rocks all the way up. It's definitely one of the harder climbs, right from the start all the way to the very top. You can see me hopping the bike over all the roots and rocks and making my way up to the top section where it kind of opens up. You have a couple of line options, but either way you're going to have to lift the bike up over a couple of rock ledges and stay balanced all the way through. Despite all that, this is still one of my favorite climbs on our local trails, and I really enjoy the challenge of trying to make it all the way up every single time I ride it.
that was ugly. Up, how was it?
It was pretty fun. It was a very technical section, but the bike made it through very well. The bike puts you in a very aggressive position for climbing, like I mentioned on fire, thanks to the stem and the C-tube angle and all the geometry. So that helps you keep weight on both wheels going up. And as well, I thought the tires on this had pretty good grip on all the roots and rocks going up ugly up, so that was a good sign as well.
How would you say that bike was compared to the Epic 8 that I'm riding right now?
The biggest difference on a super techy climb like that, again, would be the position that I'm in while climbing. The more aggressive position on this just makes it a lot easier to be centered on the bike. Of course, it's doable on my Epic 8 as well, but you have to kind of work for it. And yeah, the flight attendant can help as well on some of the flatter sections, but I imagine going up there is probably mostly wide open, so probably the riding position was the biggest difference.
Nice. Well, I'm sure everybody dies to see us riding on flat terrain, but in case you guys would be more interested in how that bike would work heading down the hill, let's see if we can find a couple of spots like that.
And as you can imagine, the first descents we tried on this bike were down the climbs from earlier. First on fire, and then down ugly up two different ways. One was this smaller ledge leading into the rest of the trail, and the other one was this bigger drop leading into a pretty steep section, and then into the rest of the technical lower trail.
And aside from those two that you've already covered, would you want to try the bike on any other trail around here?
Probably Snakes and Ladders is one that comes to mind. It just has a lot of fun corners and some jumps as well.
On the way to Snakes and Ladders, we couldn't miss riding this fun wavy bridge, which leads to Decline. It's a fun way to start the descent, where you can pick up a lot of speed, but it's also pretty rough, so you have to stay balanced on the bike going down. And then we passed by this bridge at the start of a trail called Digger Downhill, which I couldn't resist the urge to try on this bike as well. We continued down Digger Downhill, through some steeper sections and some berms and jumps, and eventually made it to lower Snakes and Ladders. The trail has a really fun combination of switchbacks, rollers, and jumps. Overall, this combination of Digger Downhill and Snakes is one of my favorite descents on our local trails.
All right, Snakes completed. How was it?
Well, it was really fun going down on this bike as well. I liked how the suspension worked in the open setting that the flight attendant kept it in. It felt very predictable, and I had no problems on all the jumps and compressions going down the trail. With that being said though, the more aggressive racy position of this bike compared to my Epic 8 did make it slightly less confidence inspiring when the trail got a bit steeper, but overall I did enjoy descending on this bike as well.
And I guess not having the brakes the way you liked them didn't help at all, did it?
No, that was probably the hardest thing to get used to riding this bike today.
And that's because we're riding moto style brakes, and Epic 9 has all the cables and hoses routed through the headset, but because of the way this one is set up, it does come with SRAM brakes, which can be easily reversed in theory, but because the hose on that right hand brake was too short, we could never swap them, so had to get used to riding with the brakes the wrong way. The bike that I'm on, the Epic 8, not the S-Works, I had the ability to route the cables moto style. I actually have a video showing you guys how to do that. There was a bit of a hack involved, but I could do it. This one, if you remember, also has storage in the frame, which is gone on Epic 9. But other than that, what do you think, Jay? Riding 7, 8, and now 9. If you were to recommend each bike for a type of rider, what would you say?
Well,
I know I'm putting you on the spot. We didn't talk about this
yeah.
prior.
All of them are great bikes in their own way. Starting with the Epic 7, I would say it's probably best for riders who like to do long days, lots of climbing, with some technical sections thrown in there. The Epic 8, I would say, at least how I have it built up on mine, is definitely the best one for more aggressive downhill riding and technical sections, but it still climbs very well. And the Epic 9, I would say, is probably the best one for higher level racing and just overall riding fast. It's kind of a mix between the two, and ends up being a pretty good all-rounder. Yeah, those are my impressions of the three bikes.
That's pretty cool, because I would have probably said it similarly myself, but one thing that I would add is this Epic 8, the way I built it with a 130 fork and Fox suspension, it comes very close to my Tallboy, which is definitely a trail bike. This one being a lot lighter though, and I could feel that on the climbs. Even though I'm not used to riding the bike, I could climb no problem on it. And again, I could feel the difference in mostly weight. Other than that, just great bikes, all of them. If you have a 7, I don't know if I would recommend you upgrade to anything. We had it was a medium. That was the main reason why we changed it. Otherwise, that bike was a rocket. A bit more flimsy, maybe very light, but it just felt like it would ping off of everything. 8 is the most planted of them all. Definitely the way we built it here, 120, 130. And that Epic 9 is definitely a racer. I'll be hard pressed to pick the 9 as a trail bike if 8s are still available, mostly because of the in-frame storage and because of the fact that you can put a 130 fork on it and you can put Fox suspension and not just SRAM. Those are the details that I covered in my video of the Epic 9. So that's the end of it. Thank you very much, Jay, for doing all the epic riding for me today. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know if you enjoyed it. Give us a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And until next time, hope to see you guys on the trails riding whatever bikes you guys have in your household. Cheers, guys. Cheers.